The cameras flashed, the crowd froze. And, well, just like that, the picture-perfect facade of Britain's most famous dynasty shattered like glass. We are talking about a headline that has entirely captivated the world right now. Brooklyn Beckham's family rift just took another painful turn. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And our mission for this deep dive is really to get underneath the surface of this whole, Bexit feud. We're synthesizing a massive stack of sources today. So everything from investigative reporting in Page 6 in Variety to, clinical psychological analysis presented on Ireland AM.
Yeah, because it's not just tabloid gossip anymore, right?
Exactly. We're stepping back from the daily noise to examine the structural mechanics of family estrangement. I mean, we're talking about $1 billion brand collision. And honestly, the reality of a 15-year-old girl caught right in the crossfire of a massive public relations war.
Right, the 15-year-old. I mean, the visual that really anchors this entire situation for me is just the empty chair. Let's look at Friday, July 10th, 2026. Santa Ambrosis Restaurant, West Palm Beach, Florida. It's Harper Beckham's 15th birthday.
Right, a huge milestone.
Totally. And the imagery coming out of this dinner is incredibly striking. It has that effortless, sun-drenched Florida aesthetic. Harper is in this pristine white dress. Victoria is wearing a very sleek, form-fitting black dress. David has a structured suit jacket over a casual white tee. You have Romeo and Cruz keeping it relaxed in jeans, sitting with their girlfriends. It looks like the ultimate aspirational family gathering.
Which is exactly what makes the absence so deafening.
Right.
Brooklyn and his wife, Nicola Peltz, are nowhere to be seen. And it extends way beyond just a physical absence at a dinner table.
Oh, absolutely.
Because in the modern celebrity ecosystem, public acknowledgement is basically the currency of affection. Cruz posted this deeply nostalgic throwback photo of Harper with Taylor Swift, along with another image of her playing a blue electric guitar just to celebrate the milestone. But the silence from Brooklyn's camp across all platforms was absolute. No post, no story, no comment.
That silence is a weapon. I mean, when you think about the emotional weight of that on a 15-year-old, it is just hard to process. Reports indicate that one of Harper's main birthday wishes was simply to hear from her oldest brother.
Yeah, that's just heartbreaking.
It really is. Sources close to the family described her as completely heartbroken by his decision to maintain this total blackout. For a teenager, losing that sibling connection so abruptly is a profound trauma. But when I look at those perfectly lit, high-resolution photos coming out of West Palm Beach, my cynical side kicks in a little bit.
Oh, how so?
Well, the Beckhams have spent 25 years mastering the art of public perception. It forces you to wonder, are these united family photos a genuine celebration that just happened to be caught on camera? Or is it a strategic chess move by Brand Beckham to look like the victims here? It feels like a subtle way to frame the narrative, like we are the loving family holding it together and he's the one abandoning us. But if you think skipping a birthday dinner is cold, wait till you hear what came next, or rather what happened on a Beverly Hills doorstep just weeks prior.
Right, the doorstep incident. I mean, the line between a private family moment and a corporate press release basically vanished for them decades ago. But to truly understand the temperature of this freeze-out, we have to go back to June 12th. The context makes that empty chair at the restaurant look almost peaceful compared to the hostility of this Beverly Hills visit.
Yeah, this part of the timeline feels the most visceral to me. After David Beckham's Walk of Fame ceremony, Harper travels alone to Brooklyn and Nicola's mansion in Beverly Hills. She arrives wearing a pink dress, carrying a handwritten letter. She just wants to hand-deliver an olive branch to her brother. She's just a teenager trying to bypass the lawyers and the PR teams and just, talk to her sibling.
And she finds an empty house. Brooklyn and Nicola were reportedly in New York at the time. But the reaction to this visit is what escalated the situation from, a Cold War to active hostility.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Really was. The response from Brooklyn's representatives didn't express regret that they missed her. They went directly to Page 6 and basically dismantled the gesture. The official quote stated that the presence of photographers as the letter was delivered proved the entire visit was, quote, choreographed for the cameras.
I mean, they took a 15-year-old's handwritten letter and publicly branded it as a paparazzi stunt. The sheer brutality of that statement from a brother's camp is staggering. It completely shuts down any narrative of innocent reconciliation. But to understand how the paranoia reached a level where a sister's letter is treated like, a hostile infiltration, we have to rewind to the explosion that set all of this off, the January 2026 bombshell.
Yeah,
Hmm.
January 19th was the real paradigm shift. Brooklyn utilized his Instagram platform, speaking directly to his 16 million followers, to release a multi-page statement. He fundamentally rejected the narrative that he was being manipulated by his wife's family, stating emphatically, "I am not being controlled. I am standing up for myself for the first time in my life."
Wow.
And furthermore, he explicitly confirmed he had no intention of reconciling with his parents, and he objectively laid out 3 massive allegations against them.
It was a total scorched earth maneuver. I mean, you do not release a multi-page dossier on your family unless you are permanently burning the bridge. And those 3 central allegations are just wild.
Definitely.
The first was the wedding dress sabotage. He claimed Victoria abruptly canceled, making Nicola's custom wedding dress at the 11th hour, leaving her scrambling, and then Victoria allegedly manipulated her media contacts to paint Nicola as a demanding brat.
Right, and the dress narrative was the spark, but the second allegation in that manifesto moves into deeply unsettling psychological territory. Brooklyn accused Victoria of hijacking their first dance as husband and wife.
Wait, hijacked the dance?
Yeah, according to the statement, Victoria arranged for an inappropriate dance with Brooklyn that actively pulled the spotlight away from the bride, leaving Nicola in tears in front of their wedding guests.
Oh my God, the dance. Let's just dwell on the mechanics of a wedding for a second. The first dance is not just a photo op, right? Structurally, socially, it is the definitive moment where the couple separates from their families of origin and presents themselves as a new primary unit.
Exactly, it's a symbolic transition.
Yeah. Right. So for a mother to step into that specific physical and symbolic space to demand the center of the room during the groom's dance with his bride, that is a staggering violation of boundaries. It is a visceral public rejection of the bride's new status. This doesn't read like a simple miscommunication over a playlist. It sounds like a hostile corporate takeover disguised as a wedding.
That's a really good way to put it.
And honestly, the social media comparisons calling Brooklyn and Nicola the Hollywood sequel to Meghan and Harry are everywhere. The playbook fleeing to the U.S., citing privacy, and releasing explosive tell-alls is identical. If you're loving these Hollywood twists and psychological deep dives, make sure you're subscribed, by the way. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
And you're so right about the Meghan and Harry parallels. The overarching theme in both situations is the struggle to untangle a human being from an institutional machine. And that leads to the third, most consequential allegation in Brooklyn's January statement. He claimed that just weeks prior to the 2022 wedding, David and Victoria allegedly attempted to bribe him into signing away the legal rights to his own name.
That is the detail I keep returning to. The name rights bribery. I can wrap my head around wedding drama and even, narcissistic stage parenting, but how do you attempt to bribe a grown man for the legal rights to his own identity?
Well, that's the thing. But the real reason for this feud isn't just about a wedding dress. Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking legal twist involving Brooklyn's actual name that nobody saw coming. But first, let's analyze how this January manifesto really fractured the rest of the family ecosystem because the collateral damage is massive.
Oh, the family is entirely bifurcated now. Cruz Beckham took a very public stance siding with David and Victoria. He went online and openly mocked the inappropriate dancing claims, literally turning his brother's trauma into a punchline. He also confirmed that Brooklyn has digitally exiled the family, blocking them entirely on social media. Meanwhile, Romeo and Harper are frequently featured in David and Victoria's curated United Front posts, which Brooklyn has actively criticized as being performative.
We're watching 2 completely different crisis management strategies play out in real time here. David Beckham is operating with extreme restraint. When confronted about the rift at the World Economic Forum in Davos, his response was carefully calibrated. He just said, children make mistakes, you have to let them learn.
Very PR friendly.
Totally. And later, in an interview with Variety, he pivoted smoothly, stating that family strife is the one thing I don't want to talk about, and reiterating that family remains their priority. It is the classic corporate strategy of maintaining the high road to project stability.
Right. And then you have Brooklyn, who's taking a much more disruptive approach. I mean, he starred in a DoorDash commercial for the World Cup. His entire family is sitting in VIP seats in Miami watching England beat Norway. And Brooklyn is in this commercial, sitting alone in a living room, and he looks directly into the lens and says he's watching from home because, quote, it's a long story.
Yeah, that was wild.
He is weaponizing his own estrangement to sell food delivery. The contrast between David's polished Davos diplomacy and Brooklyn's snarky commercialization of his own family trauma is just jarring.
It really reveals a profound psychological disconnect, which psychotherapist Carl Melvin actually addressed during a fascinating segment on Ireland AM. Melvin utilizes a continuum model to explain family estrangement. It is rarely a sudden cliff, it's a sliding scale. And Brooklyn has currently pushed himself to the absolute extreme edge of that scale, total physical and digital no contact.
Like, get completely cut off.
Yeah, but to understand why he felt that was his only option, Melvin highlights a massive generational gap that fundamentally shapes their worldviews. David and Victoria started with raw talent and ambition. They ground their way to the top of the sports and music industries before they ever became a lifestyle brand. They built the machine. But Brooklyn, he was born inside the machine.
That is such a crucial distinction, the gap between the self-made empire and the inherited reality.
Exactly. Melvin refers to this environment as a gilded prison. Brooklyn has enjoyed access to astronomical wealth, global connections, instant platforms, but that access comes with the crushing gravity of the brand Beckham expectations. Think about his trajectory in the public eye.
Right.
He published a photography book that was critically panned. He attempted to launch a cooking show that drew heavy criticism for its massive production costs and lack of actual culinary expertise.
Oh, I remember that cooking show.
Right. He even walked away from the youth academy in football, a sport where his father is obviously a global icon, because the comparative pressure was just insurmountable. He is desperately trying to establish a healthy individuality outside the crushing pressure of brand Beckham.
When your every attempt at finding a career is measured against two parents who literally conquered the world, the psychological toll must be paralyzing. So following Melvin's analysis, this extreme scorched earth estrangement isn't just a temper tantrum over a wedding. It is a desperate, flailing attempt to establish a healthy sense of individuality. He's detonating the bridge because it's the only way to escape the gravitational pull of his parents' brand.
Yeah, he is attempting to build boundaries in a family structure where boundaries have never historically existed. For 25 years, the children's images, milestones, and identities have been completely integrated into the parents' marketing and public relations machinery. Extricating yourself from that requires an immense amount of force.
I hear that. I understand the theory of the gilded prison, and the need for autonomy makes complete sense on paper. But let's play devil's advocate and look at the reality of his escape route. Is this really about Brooklyn finding his individuality, or is he just swapping the control of brand Beckham for the control of the billionaire Peltz dynasty?
That's a very fair question.
I mean, Nicola's father is a billionaire investor. That family possesses astronomical wealth, power, and their own deeply entrenched corporate gravity. Is he actually free to be his own man, or did he just trade one demanding board of directors for another? Is he actually free?
The concept of swapping one corporate umbrella for another is a brilliant way to frame it, because it highlights the illusion of total autonomy in these ultra-wealthy spheres. Power dynamics merely shift, they rarely disappear. And this brings us to the underlying legal mechanism that turns this whole philosophical debate about autonomy into a cold, hard contractual reality.
Okay, this is the piece of the puzzle that completely recontextualizes the entire Feud for me. I keep thinking about Brooklyn's claim in the manifesto that his parents tried to bribe him for his name rights. How can parents bribe a son for something he inherently owns?
Well, the shocking reality is that he doesn't own it. Investigative reports have confirmed the legal framework governing his identity. Victoria Beckham's company has held the official trademark for the name Brooklyn Beckham since 2016.
Wait, really? A mother holding the intellectual property rights to her own son's name? That is, let that reality settle in for a moment. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because this legal battle is just getting started, and understanding the mechanics of this trademark completely changes everything you thought you knew about this family.
It really does. When you apply the lens of that trademark to the timeline, the narrative shifts from a domestic dispute to a hostile corporate negotiation. A trademark isn't just a piece of paper, right? It dictates commercial control. It means that if Brooklyn wants to launch a clothing line, a fragrance, or even a branded hot sauce under his own name, he legally cannot do it without the permission of his mother's holding company.
That is insane.
She has the legal authority to send a cease and desist order to her own son to stop him from monetizing his own birth name.
That dynamic is deeply unsettling. It fundamentally alters the parent-child relationship. You are no longer just a mother and a son. You are a CEO and a subsidiary. If Brooklyn is trying to build a new life, a new brand, or a new business venture under the Peltz family's guidance, he is legally paralyzed. The refusal to sign new agreements regarding that trademark, which he called a bribery attempt, appears to be the actual structural failure that brought down the entire relationship.
Right.
It wasn't the dress. The dress was just the collateral damage of a collapsing business arrangement.
Exactly. And if we zoom out and look at the broader implications, this situation serves as a masterclass in what happens when family relationships are treated as brand management. It's a profound cautionary tale about communication, boundaries, and the unique, suffocating pressures of inherited fame. You cannot treat human beings as intellectual property without eventually sparking a rebellion.
And the tragic part of that rebellion is the collateral damage left in the blast radius. It brings us right back to West Palm Beach. A 15-year-old girl sitting in a beautiful restaurant surrounded by cameras, staring at an empty chair, just wishing her big brother would text her back. The human element just gets completely crushed under the weight of the corporate maneuvering.
The emotional toll is undeniable, but the structural conflict is far from resolved. The machinery is still in motion, and there is a ticking clock attached to this entire feud.
And that ticking clock is exactly what I want to leave you to think about today. That trademark we just discussed, the legal document giving Victoria Beckham ownership of the name Brooklyn Beckham, does not last forever. It legally expires in December 2026. This creates a fascinating and potentially explosive impending deadline. What happens when a young man legally has to walk into a courtroom and fight his own mother for the rights to his own identity? Will the sheer pressure of this forced legal showdown finally compel both sides to sit down at a negotiation table and attempt to heal the rift? Or will a ruthless battle over intellectual property serve as the final act that severs the family bloodline permanently? We are watching a family transition into a courtroom drama, and the flashbulbs are only going to get brighter from here.
Absolutely.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.